Coach, you have the answer to this one? They would like for you to come to their house for Thanksgiving. You got time?
No problem with that. That'd be fun. Well, we haven't.
I don't know. That's the first question you need to be asking. Hey, Virginia Tech fans really thankful right now, especially because they have a new head coach in James Franklin.
Virginia Tech football has found their guy, the Hokies' new head coach, James Franklin.
It's a significant hire for Virginia Tech.
Perfect home run hire. Knows how to win football games, but also knows how to build a culture.
James Franklin is an elite program builder, and Virginia Tech is counting on him establishing that and reestablishing Virginia Tech in the top of the ACC pecking order.
You could not have found a coach that's going to pour his heart and soul into this place more than me and my family. I give you my word on that.
Emotional for sure. No doubt James Franklin has already been on the recruiting trail building his roster for next year. He was already dominant in the DMV during his time at Penn State. Over the last decade, Franklin has recruited more ESPN 300 recruits from Virginia than Tech and UVA. So now all those guys who commit to Franklin will be staying home when they do it. Making his inaugural debut here on the ACC Huddle is new Virginia Tech head coach James Franklin. Coach, first of all, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you in the ACC. But first and foremost, it's been a while since you've had a first week on the job. So what have the last few days been like and the emotions of all of it?
Yeah, it's strange. Last week I had an opportunity to go to the Old Dominion Troy game. Both of those head coaches worked for me at Penn State. So I was there. I was with Coach Ronnie's wife in the parking lot tailgating, which I've never done before in my life, eating a hot dog. It was actually pretty cool. But it's just different and unique. Even today, I want to make sure that I give Coach Montgomery the respect and space to do his job. This is a challenging thing to do. I want to be very, very respectful of these young men and the game that they have to play today. But they got me running in 1,000 different directions. Excited to be on with you guys, but I'm only answering questions from Eddie Royal. That's the only guy I'm going to talk to today.
Well, Coach, have you had a chance to address the team? And if so, what was the message?
Yeah, so again, I asked Coach Montgomery if that would be okay. Coach Fisher knows this. I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, right? I don't want to be a distraction to the team and their preparation, but on the same hand, I felt like I had to get up in front of these guys to settle them in the transfer portal era. So I spoke to them briefly. I'm going to have another meeting with them on Monday, which is their off day. And then yesterday, I met with the Leadership Council to get their perspective on the program, on the staff, on the coaches, kind of hear from them, which I thought was really valuable for me to get their perspective.
Coach, one thing that is so apparent about this is just fit, and I think this is a Grand Slam hire. I told you that. I've told everybody that'll listen that, and a lot of those reasons, I think, is who you are as a man, but also how you recruit. That Taylor just brought up there. How important is that DMV area, is the 757, is Richmond and the rest of the state of Virginia as you go on this thing and bring in these student athletes?
Well, I think any program, and Coach Fisher knows this, but any program you take over, it's got to start at home. How am I supposed to go anywhere else if I don't own my own state? So it starts with that, showing the respect that we have for all the high school coaches in the state, making sure that we're doing a great job of making these young men feel like a priority. And then after that, then we're going to have to recruit the footprint. I think, if you look, the reality is whether it's Virginia or any of these states in this region, I don't know if you can build your entire roster just off of your state. So starts with the state, but then we're going to go footprint after that, about a 6-hour radius from campus. And then also in today's college football, you're going to have to go national as well, because there's going to be some years where in the footprint there may not be a position that is needed, and you're going to have to go more national.
James, congratulations. Like I say, I know it's been a whirlwind. I've been in your shoes, and I understand that. But
yes, sir.
I know getting this foundation set from the beginning is going to be very important. What's the first part of the infrastructure you feel like you got to get situated so you can get going on and as being the head coach at Virginia Tech?
Well, Coach, I think the first thing is this, and I don't know if you've ever been in this position. I've never been in this position. You know, I think Virginia Tech was very aggressive in this process, right? They already had a plan. A lot of times you talk to these schools, and they're still figuring it out on the run. Virginia Tech had a very, very specific plan, so when they came to visit with me, it wasn't like me just telling them what we needed to do. They had already done their benchmarking in the ACC. They had already done their benchmarking nationally, so that helped. When I got the Penn State job, I want to say it was like January 18th or something like that. It was a last-minute scramble. When I look back at my time taking over the Vanderbilt program and taking over the Penn State program, when I thought about it, I didn't feel like I spent enough time with the current team, recruiting the current team, especially in the transfer portal era. But by Virginia Tech being so aggressive with this process, not only are we able to have an official visit this weekend with high school prospects, but then next weekend, and it goes dead, but I'm also able to spend time with the current roster and recruit those guys as well. When I look back at my last 2 times, never really had the time to do that. So this is kind of a unique situation, and I think Virginia Tech's been really smart in how they've approached this whole process.
Coach, when the name Brent Pry came up in the press conference, you got emotional. I thought it was an amazing moment, but what was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, first of all, I'll be honest, I'm an emotional guy, number one. Number two, and Jimbo's been through this, it's an emotional in general. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never had a day off from work in my life. I poured my heart and soul into Penn State. I'm very appreciative of the time that I had there. But like when these decisions are made, I don't think a lot of people understand how many people it impacts. It impacts your coaching staff, their wives, their children. The off-the-field staff, their wives, their children. The current players and their parents. The recruits and their parents. So it affects hundreds of people. So that is emotional. That is emotional. And I ultimately feel responsible for all those families and all those people. So I was emotional in general after everything we have gone through. But then the other thing is Brent Pry was with me, I think, for 9 years. Brent Pry's dad was my offensive coordinator in college. Brent Pry's first year coaching was my senior year in college. And then he did a phenomenal job for me as a defensive coordinator. We had a top 10 defense, and he's made Virginia Tech better. So I wanted to make sure I paid him respect, but I also know what him and his family are going through right now, and it's emotional. I think sometimes people look at the money, and I think it affects how people view coaches, right? I think in some ways it makes people question, our motives. But, I think my generation and older, we didn't get into this profession for the money. It's about the players. It's about the kids. It's about the relationships. It's about the impact. So I know what this is, meant to Brent Pry and his family, and it just kind of caught me.
Very well said, Coach. Last thing before we let you go, you will get to experience Enter Sandman this afternoon in just a couple of hours. Where will you be? Field level, in the tunnel, in the press box? How are you going to take it in?
Well, I'm at a point right now where I just go where they tell me to go, to be honest with you. And I've learned a bunch of stuff like that. I think the first time I said enter the Sandman, which was a huge mistake. I got in trouble for saying that. I was at the basketball game the other day, and I was just scared to death that I was going to say the wrong chant because I've been saying one for 12 years. So I just go where they tell me to go right now. I still don't know how to navigate this place, but everybody's been phenomenal. As you guys know, this place has always had passion, right? And the energy has been phenomenal. We've been embraced really, really well. And I'm excited to enjoy a great college game, 2 really good programs. And obviously, couldn't be more excited about the future of Virginia Tech football.
Well, Coach, a few days in, you're doing a great job. You heard it here first from the ACC Huddle. Thank you so much. Those colors look great on you, and we're looking forward to many years ahead.
The maroon brings out my eyes. Don't you guys think so?
I agree. Yeah.
Big
Looks
facts.
great, Coach.
Big facts, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
I appreciate
you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.